What's up, guys? I got a request to do a tutorial on how to scroll a shape on the RGB shades. So, well, here it is. So it's really quite simple, actually. It's easy to think that you should do the scrolling within the animation function, but that's actually not how you should do it. But rather, this is how. So the function I'm going to be using here, I've called it scrolling square, and basically it just draws a square and scrolls it across the shades. So to start off, we have this here. It's the prelude of the function. It runs the first time, or the intention of it is that it's supposed to run the first time the function is ran. So it just runs while or if effect init equals false. So the first thing we do is set effect init to be true. Effect delay, this is the value in milliseconds that the time in milliseconds between runs of this function. So basically a higher number here will make a slower animation. And offset x equals 0 is this offset x is a variable we'll be using to, well, basically perform the scrolling, and I'll show you how in a minute. So after this prelude, I just run a clean function, which is something I use in all my animations. It looks like this, and basically it just resets the entire LED matrix so that no residue from previous animations is left. So we get a blank canvas to draw on, so to speak. And then right here is the code to just draw the square. So if I just want to draw a square, nothing else, I would probably do like this. So we have that x starts at 0, x is increased until it is 2, so while it's lower than 2. And then we do the same for y, so we have two for loops nested right here. And then using the xy function, which is part of the code which can be downloaded from the RGB Shades project's GitHub. Well, it calculates which array index the LED with the position x, y has. So I don't have to keep track of that myself, which is very nice. And then I just say that the LED of that position gets this value, and here of course we have the value of the color, the saturation, and the brightness. Simple as that. So what I have right here now with these for loops will not scroll, because these values are all they all always produce the same data, so to speak. So in order to make this scroll, we need to make it produce other data, which is why I have this offset x right here. So this is the code I had to begin with, like this. So now I have offset x here, and this is a global variable, meaning that it's declared outside the function. As you can see, it's outside here and not inside here. So what that means is that this variable can be accessed from anywhere in the program. So be careful. If you have another variable with the name offset x, you will not be able to redeclare it. You will be able to reuse it by just assigning new values, but you cannot redeclare it. So be careful with that. So to begin with, the first time the function is ran, offset x is set to 0. So the first time this function is ran, x here gets the value 0, and then it runs until while it's less than 2 plus 0, so 2, and then it draws that. And once the drawing of the square is done, I calculate a new offset x, which is basically just I increment it with 1 and I do that modulo 16, and the reason for this is that the shades are 16 LEDs wide. So by adding modulo 16 here, I basically make it start over from the beginning when it has reached the very edge of the shades. So that's basically it. So the reason this works is because the animation is done by running this function repeatedly. So you don't just run this function once and then this function takes care of everything, but this function is ran a number of times, depending on the rest of your programming, of course. And in this case it's ran with a delay of 500 milliseconds between each run. So that means that the animation will have 2 frames per second, so to speak. And this can be increased to get a more smooth animation, but just to demonstrate, I wanted to keep this a slow animation. So basically what happens is that as this is a global variable, it keeps the value, we assign it right here between runs. So the next time the function is ran, offset x will no longer be 0, it will be 1. So that makes it so that x right here starts off as the value 1 and runs while x is lower than 2 plus 1, that is 3. So then we have shifted the entire data set, so to speak, which is produced by the outer for loop. So this make it look like, let's see here, like this. You see, it's just a square scrolling across. Nothing fancy. So this can be applied on other things as well. For example, say we wanted it to scroll in the y-axis as well. Right now it just scrolls in the x-axis. So I'll just make another variable called offset y, and I'll do the same with that. Like this. So that will make it scroll also in the y-axis, meaning that it will scroll in the x-axis and the y-axis at the same time, so it will scroll diagonally like this. So the reason I'm putting 5 here and not 16 is because, of course, the shades aren't 16 LEDs high. They're just 5 LEDs high, so that's why I'm putting 5 here. And everything looks to be in order. So I'll just upload it to my RGB shades and we'll see what happens. So of course this can be applied on other things than this kind of technique can be applied on other things than just scrolling. For example, if I wanted to increase the brightness over time with each step in the animation, I could just add another variable here called brightness and do the same kind of thing here, just increasing it in increments. So it's uploaded now, so right now it looks like this. As you can see, it's scrolling diagonally from the top left to the bottom right. And really, that's all there is to it. I mean, making something scroll and move and change over time with the RGB shades isn't really harder than this. It's basically just have a global variable for it, declare it globally, initialize it in the effect init if clause, so to speak, and then have it change value in the function by some increment, and that's it really. So, well, I hope this has been informative, and I hope that it makes sense. If it doesn't, just hit me up with a comment and ask, and I'll try to explain closer. Also, this code is on GitHub. I'll link the repository in the description. So if you want to try this code out, you can download it and try it out yourself and play around with it to make it work, and well, make it work differently so you learn. And well, thanks for watching. If you want me to do a tutorial on anything else, I'll be happy to do that, so just hit me up with a suggestion. And otherwise I'll probably be back with a tutorial anyway sometime. But until then, I guess thanks for watching, and hit me up with a subscription if you liked the video. I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Bye.